Hi, my name's Darryl Hockey. I'm one of the coordinators of the Henderson Alliance. The Henderson Alliance was set up about 12 months ago, and it's a group of interested SMEs, small to medium enterprises, who are interested in getting some work done in the defence industry. We've only been going a year and we've already got 48 members, and interest is still growing. We haven't even advertised, so it's a group of volunteers. There are no membership fees, but we're there to try to create a voice for small businesses in the defence sector, but also to assist each other in learning more about the defence sector and supporting each other with a view to getting more involvement in the future. We've got a wide variety of members. Obviously there are some who are working in the defence industry already in the sustainment field, and there are others who have a lot of experience in the resources sector, in mining and in oil and gas, and they believe that they can bring their talents to the defence industry. So we have obviously people with engineering background, electrical, hydraulics, all sorts of experiences, and some have got some great experience in the past in things like radar. So we're not exclusive. We've attracted interest from right across the board. It's hard to estimate, but it's definitely over 1,000 employees across our membership. So I should say that this is not just Henderson-based businesses that are in the Henderson Alliance. That's where we started, that's where our focus was. We've got members from all over the metropolitan area at the moment, and so I'm sure that that's going to grow in the future. Whoever set up the Henderson precinct originally had a hell of a lot of foresight, because we look at where things are going geopolitically in the world today. The Indian Ocean is becoming more and more important, and you can see what's happening in the South China Sea. It's likely there's going to be all sorts of pressures there over future years, and what happens with North Korea, well, who knows. But with all of those tensions going on, there's going to be a lot more military activity going on in the Indian Ocean. And so therefore the Henderson area is a key strategic location. Now when you go and look at the facilities down there, it's fantastic. There's big wide open streets and all the businesses are set out, and we talked to some of the primes from Europe and they're almost gobsmacked when they can see what we've got, because they've built shipbuilding industries back in the 1600s in some little harbour in Europe, and over the years all these towns have been built out around them, and then they've been still trying to build their ships into the modern era, and it's very, very difficult with what they've got, the limitations, and quite often they've got to truck things in and out and use a number of different harbours to be able to build what they've got. And they come and see what we've got in Henderson, and it's all there, it's all laid out. You've got the whole waterfront, you've got all the support industries, and there's still extra land to go. All we need is the extra wharfs and probably the extra facilities like graving docks and more dredging to go ahead. And I think once all of that happens, we've got the most amazing setup. It's better than what they've got in Osborne in South Australia, and what they've got in Osborne is pretty spectacular. So I think we should be very proud of what we've got, and we should have the confidence to go out and talk nationally about what we've got here in Western Australia, and talk confidently about how our small businesses can deliver. We know what the likes of Austell have been able to deliver over the years. Well, we can also do that with the small business sector. I think one of the problems is the people in the eastern states don't really understand what we've got here in the west. They haven't been over to see it, and it's very easy to dismiss from a distance. But it's like anybody that comes over and flies up over the northwest shelf and looks out the window and has a look at the incredible gas processing facilities up there. They're always blown away. People in the eastern states really have very little visibility of what's going on in Western Australia. So one of the myths that we've tried to address with people in the east is that we do genuinely have the capability here in this state to deliver. And we talk about what we've got at Henderson. We talk about the experience that people have had, the number of businesses that are doing sustainment at the moment, and are well placed to be able to build in the future. We can show them some of the huge workshops and some of the highly intricate machinery that people have, and the training systems and the quality of the personnel. And we talk about the synergies with the resources industry, with the oil and gas industry, the engineering expertise that's here. And generally people come around very quickly once they once they're told this. And so I'd like to think that at every level we're advocating with the other states to make sure that people realise that we're not just blowing our own trumpets, we're actually talking about things that are real and what we really do have and what services we can offer. We've advocated at a number of different levels. We've been to Canberra, we've been to South Australia, we've met with the South Australian government, we've had a look at the facilities over there, and we're closely engaged in the industry within Western Australia as well. We've had a voice at the Premier's Defence Consortium, at the Defence Industry Council of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We've written a number of articles in the West Australian and in publications like Defence Connect. And what we've really done is to try to put forward the unique viewpoints of the small to medium enterprises, because we believe that unless there's some discrete policy changes, SMEs may miss out on some of the action. And it's important that at this stage of where the defence industry is going, that small businesses get their say. Because if the government wants to get the greatest bang for the buck, this is taxpayers' money that's going to be going into the defence spend in the future. If the government wants to get the biggest bang for the buck, it needs to make sure that the SMEs are involved the most. Over the last 10 years or so, the growth in the business sector in Australia has come completely from the big end of town. If you have a look at the growth in SMEs, there hasn't been any. It's been quite static while the bigger companies have got bigger. We believe that if you want economic growth and you want real jobs and real careers and real employment, it's the small business sector that can provide those. So we believe that it's important to make sure at this stage that whatever structures are in this defence industry, that the involvement of defence industries is maximised. Now, we learnt a lot from the resources construction boom in Western Australia. A number of us have been involved in that. And there was a lot of hopes from small businesses that they would do very well. And many in the Henderson area unfortunately closed their doors during that period. With what should have been a boom, there were many small businesses missed out. And that's mainly because the larger contractors didn't necessarily feed and cascade all of that work down evenly across the smaller businesses. Plus what happens quite often with the larger businesses, and you'd understand obviously why it's good business to do so, when they need more employees, they would go and employ them from a labour hire company. When they didn't need them anymore, they would put them back again. Now, we'd rather proper family SMEs are being involved rather than just labour hire companies, because SMEs provide careers. They're not just numbers, they're careers. And the economic benefits, socio-economic benefits for Australia are much greater. We've got a very good relationship with the state government, and we're very strongly supportive of what they've done with Defence West. And we think that they're taking the right direction, but the concern we've got is that ultimately they don't have many funds. The whole state government hasn't got many funds, and that's quite evident to everybody. So there's a limited amount of work that Defence West can do. So whilst I think they're a very important player and a participant in the whole ecosystem of defence, they probably can't do a whole lot more than what they're doing with the resources that have been allocated to them. What our members are telling us is that they want to see a big picture. They want to know what's going to happen. And what's going to happen in relation to the hard infrastructure that's required to support the defence industry in this state over future years. That's what's going to happen with a CUF, a common user facility, the more wharves that are needed, whether it's going to be a floating dock or a graving dock, and when it's going to be built. What sort of infrastructure and support is going to be built down there? So there needs to be a big picture plan that everybody agrees to. We don't see that at the moment. And that's why one of the reasons you see people coming out with all sorts of different ideas from time to time of what money should be spent on. And I think that perhaps it's something that the state government could take a lead on to make sure that there is that big picture there, and that the federal government and other major players are supportive of that. And I think once we've got that big picture, it's going to make it a lot easier to know where we're going. Another thing we need is the soft infrastructure. You look at what South Australia's got. They've got amazing facilities there. It is really, truly amazing what they've done, and good luck to them. They've done a lot of advocacy, and they've got some great outcomes. We need some of that those facilities here in Australia, in Western Australia as well, whether it's education and support or industry development work. There needs to be some support, particularly for small businesses, to make all of this happen. We believe, and our members are saying, that if we're actively involved in the planning from the start, we can play a big part. We would love to see a whole new, or not new, but a developed common use facility with clustering arrangements so that small businesses could actually have some space on the waterfront. So it's not just all of the big businesses there, that we could have small businesses set up down there that can all come together to help bring the building and sustainment activities off.